Okay, let's give it a few moments, guys, and see if more people would join. Maybe a minute. Thanks. Can you see my screen, by the way? The one I'm sharing?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so yeah, maybe some people will join later. So let's start. So, but before everything, I would like to introduce who we are. So let me introduce myself. So here, hi, good evening, guys. I'm Len. I'll be talking tonight, and I'm very sorry because my other device, my headphone, I'm having troubles with. That's why I need to use this headset. But I hope this would do for the talk. I know it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like the voice is kind of muffled. But anyway, yes. Again, I'm Len, and we are the member-supported Pure Land Buddhism Center of the Philippines, Mahayana, and we've been doing this online uh, Buddhist talks, particularly Pure Land Buddhism talks, since 2015. And aside from me, I have other members. We have other members who've been sharing Pure Land Buddhist teachings, actually far more than I do. And let me see, I think one of them is here. Okay, so I would like to introduce to you guys my friend Kevin. He also um, teaches or shares Pure Land Buddhist teachings like I do. Actually, he does more. And I think you have attended some of his talks. So, hi, Kebs. Good evening. Can you say something to everyone, please? If you can.
Hi everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me, guys? Is my mic okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi. So, hi everyone. Good evening. My name's Kevin, and welcome to the class. So it's gonna be a reading session tonight, and I hope you learn more from our class. And we have other lectures as well. So if you're not on the group yet, on our Facebook group, we encourage you to join, and I'll be sending the link later, Len. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Kebs, thank you very much. So that's Kevin. So like me, he's been studying and sharing Buddhism for 6 years. Our teacher, Frank, is not here right now, but he has been uh, sharing Buddhism for more than 25 years. So yeah, but yeah, that's us. So we can start now. I have shared my screen. I'll turn off my video. And I need two volunteers, please, to read the story we're going to read tonight. So, this is the title of the story: How Much is Enough? The Farmer Who Was Overcome by Greed. So, I need some two people to read. First one to read this first part, and someone else to read the rest of the story. May I have volunteers, please? Anyone would like to start?
Okay, can I start?
Oh, yeah, sure. Go ahead, Gerard. Thank you.
Okay, can I begin now?
Yes, we can hear you.
How much is enough? The farmer who was overcome by greed. There is a story by Leo Tolstoy about a land-hungry farmer who heard of a country so vast that land could be had for the asking. He traveled there and found it was true. The inhabitants and the chief told him that he could help himself to any piece of land he wanted, as much as he could get around on foot in a single day. There is one condition, added the chief. You must start at sunrise and return to the place where you started before the sun sets. Start anywhere you like and go around making the corners. Go as far and as wide as you please. Come back in time or you may not return. That night, the farmer lay awake with excitement at the thought of the vast tract awaiting him. In the morning, he set off just as dawn was breaking and soon settled on the starting point for his land. Gradually, his pace quickened to a trot.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gerard. Now, can I have another volunteer, please, to read the rest of the story?
Okay, my turn.
Okay, yes, Shams. Thank you. Is that sorry? Yeah, thank you.
I sorry, I forgot to rename my name is Joyce.
Okay,
Sorry,
Joyce.
I used
Okay.
to do it in other session. Yeah,
Okay.
the name of my company. Anyway, okay, I will proceed.
Okay, please.
After going several miles, he marked another. Am I right? Yeah.
Oh, wait,
After
sorry.
going several miles, he marked another corner. Sorry, am I correct? Am I right?
Oh, yes, yes, please. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Eventually, he broke into a run, driven by the knowledge that the faster he went, the more land would be his. He came to what would have been a reasonable turning place and passed it by, his greed spurring him on. Finally, surprised to see the sun already high overhead, he marked the last corner and began to run back to the starting point. He barely took time to eat lunch. By mid-afternoon, he was worn out, but he threw off his coat and boots and kept running. The sky was red with sunset. His feet were hurt and bloody, and his heart was at bursting point. But if he collapsed now, all his effort will be for nothing. He ran for all he was worth, his eyes on the goal. His effort was rewarded, for he made it back just in time, only to fall over stone dead. His servant dug him a grave and buried him in it. In the end, all the land he needed was a flat 6 feet by 2. Tolstoy farmer is not alone. Greed kills us all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Joyce and Gerard, for reading the story. So that's our story for tonight. And so a little background. So this story was written by Leo Tolstoy, and he is regarded as one of the greatest authors of all time. And I mean the farmer about the farmer in the story. So among his famous works are War and Peace and Anna Karenina. So here he tells a story of a farmer who was overcome by greed. In the actual story from Tolstoy, this man is named Pahom. He was a peasant determined to rise up to the middle class. So when he heard about this land for taking, he didn't waste time. He didn't waste the opportunity. So the deal was he can take as much land as he is able in one day, but the caveat is that he must return to the exact point he started or everything will be forfeited, right? So Pahom sets out to cover as much land as he can without realizing that he made too big of a circuit. So without even eating lunch, he rushed to his starting point, only to be driven to exhaustion. By the time he gets there, falls down and dies. So it's quite tragic, right? So from this, we would ask, what is greed? That this thing that has driven Pahom to death. So what is greed? The definition of greed is attempting to accumulate large amounts of something, such as food or money, especially if you try to acquire more than you need or more than your fair share, especially at the expense of others. This pretty much describes the dictionary definition of greed. Sometimes there are instances where we interchange the words greed and desire, and that is understandable. But the main difference between the two is that greed is the definition we see here, while desire is simply to want something so much. Okay? So, and how was greed shown in this story? So, because of the farmer's desire to acquire more land, he did not eat lunch. He intentionally set aside his health just so he could cover more land to acquire. Doesn't that sound familiar to all of us? So we may see that, right, as a silly thing, but a silly thing to do, but many of us have been doing the same, right? How many times have we worked ourselves to death just because we wanted much more than we need? That we forget that our health is also an asset. The irony is sometimes the money we spent so much time working on will later be spent on restoring ourselves back to health, which, could have been avoided if we restrained our greed in the first place, right? Of course, I'm only talking about the excessive, right? The excessive need to acquire much more than we need. So many people still overwork and still cannot put enough on the table. And in my opinion, that is not greed, but necessity brought about by some form of injustice. Right? However, that is an entirely different subject matter. So let's just circle back to the topic at hand, which is greed. And by the way, if you have any questions, you can just interrupt me or you can type it in the chat box and then we'll answer your questions later, okay? So at this point, do you have any questions, guys? Or everything okay? Okay,
Yes, no questions.
no questions. Okay, great, thank you. So let me continue. So greed in Buddhism. So in Buddhism, greed is one of the three poisons, together with anger and ignorance. So you see here the three poisons in Buddhism: greed, desire. So we kind of interchange those two. Um, Here in Buddhism, we have the five desires, right? The desire for food, desire for wealth, desire for status, sensual pleasure, and idleness or laziness. We all people have this desire. And the second poison is anger. And the third poison is ignorance, which includes jealousy, envy, hate, and grudge. So tonight we only focus on greed, right? But if you want to learn more about the two other poisons or like an extensive um, lecture about all these three poisons, we do have that from time to time. Just watch out for our schedule in our Facebook group. And earlier, we said that desire and greed are used interchangeably all the time, and which is understandable. This happens often too when we discuss about desire in Buddhism, as you can see here. So, to repeat what I said earlier, desire is wanting so much of something, and greed is attempting to accumulate large or exaggerated amounts of that something you desire. Okay? So we can say desire occurs in the mind, and greed is when you take action or implement that desire. Okay? But we may ask, why do people become greedy? Have you ever wondered what causes greed? Can you guys give an example? What causes greed or what makes people greedy? Anyone? You could type it in the chat box or you could use your microphone if you're able. What do you think are the reasons people get greedy?
Lack of satisfaction,
Ah, yes. Yeah, who's that? Joyce? Yes.
lack of sense of contentment. Yeah. Yeah, yes.
Ah, yes,
Lack
yes.
of, yeah, lack of sense of contentment, satisfaction.
Okay, that's great, Joyce. Yes, that is correct. Lack of satisfaction and lack of contentment. And okay, let me see the chat. Social comparison. Yeah, that's good, Gerard. Yes, social comparison. So lack of contentment or satisfaction, social comparison. This causes us or this causes people to become greedy. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much for your answers. They are great. And if someone else has an answer, please, you could type it in the chat box or say it in the mic using the microphone. But for now, yeah, thank you for your answers. I have also come up with a list when I was making content for this talk. And uh, so, one moment. Okay, so this is the list I came up with. The very first one is, oh, wait, it's not working. Okay, there. So, first one is insecurity. Okay, so I think um, we wonder what is insecurity. So insecurity is lacking confidence in oneself. So simply put, it is lacking confidence in oneself. So when we feel inadequate or insufficient, yeah, like what Joy said, lack of satisfaction, we try to feel what we think is missing in us by acquiring things, right? And in most cases, we do that in excess. And why do we feel insecure at times? Because of societal standards. This is what Gerard said, right? Social comparison and the standards brought about by people we interact with. Okay, so this usually makes us feel insecure. Sadly, we cannot overcome our insecurities overnight. Okay, but we can slowly weaken it by building our self-esteem. And there are many ways. So there are many ways we can find online on how we can stop being insecure, and a few of them I want to mention here. Okay, if you have something else to add later, please do so. Okay, so the one first what do you call this first way of so that you can weaken your insecurity or build self-esteem is practice gratitude journaling. Okay, write down the things you are thankful for and write down your strengths. So this challenges your negative thoughts, which includes the things you are insecure about, and reminds you of the pleasant things going on in your life at the moment, or that has been going on in your life. Okay, and second one is to care for yourself, of course. Pamper yourself, go on a vacation, take time off to focus on caring for your body and mind, like doing exercise and meditation, things like that. And if you are able and you have the luxury of time and place to exercise regularly, please do so, even for only a few minutes a day. So, because in the beginning, it might take a lot of willpower to start exercising or meditating, and that's understandable. But if you persevere enough, it becomes a routine, and it's very important that you make it into a routine because willpower is not a sustainable system to rely on. You know, willpower relies greatly on mental energy, and once that energy is depleted, we tend to lose control, right? How many times have we relied on, for example, willpower of not maybe not eating or fasting? But how many days will it take us before we would like to give up? So once you overcome that part, then it becomes a routine, and it's very important to get past that part. Let me just drink water. Okay, so that's it. Care for yourself. And then the third one is this. I would like to show it through this image. I hope you can uh, see it clearly. So there's a stick here, brown stick. Is the stick long or short? So I can ask you, is the stick long or short? If you compared it to something shorter, then it is long. If compared to something longer, then it is short. So is the stick long or short? The answer depends on what you compare it with. Our judgment is always based on comparison, just like our happiness depends on who we are comparing ourselves with, right? So um, we heard it many times, right? Stop comparing yourself to others. But the truth is, we can't help it, right? We may not say it outright, but it's there in our minds, right? It's there lingering in our minds. We compare ourselves to others. So if you're going to compare yourself anyway, compare it to someone in a lesser situation than you are in. I know it's it's controversial and somewhat callous, right? But as long as it stays in your mind, it won't upset anyone and would serve you its purpose. Or better yet, maybe you can compare yourself now to the lesser self you were before, and you will see how much better you have made it in life. Okay? This kind of comparison is called relative happiness. And in Buddhism, this is the temporary kind of happiness that helps us get by in life, actually. And the other kind of happiness in Buddhism is absolute happiness, which is the culmination of the Buddhist teachings. But I wouldn't touch on that tonight, though, because we are time constrained. And yeah, that's a really large topic. But yes, so relative happiness is a kind of temporary happiness taught in Buddhism, and it helps us to get by in life. Um, it's a means to live. Okay, how to live. It helps us with that question. Okay, so this is the first cause of greed, or what makes people greedy. Do you have any questions about this one? Insecurity, or any clarifications, or would you like to add something? Three, two, one. Okay, if there are no questions, or if there is nothing you'd like to add, then I'll continue. Okay, guys. The second thing I came up with what uh, causes greed is egocentrism. So, egocentrism is obsessive selfishness or self centeredness. So, when someone is self focused and unable to imagine any other perspective than their own. So, if someone is egocentric, they won't think about the needs of others. And thus, they have the tendency to be greedy and just take all of what their heart desires without thinking that maybe some people may need the things they took, you know, they took in excess. At one point of our lives, we are all egocentric, really. As kids, kids are egocentric. Like, um, they think everything that happens around them is about them. Okay, so but we outgrow that. We outgrow that. We become adults. However, some people never do. Okay, so that's why um, egocentric people sometimes are narcissists too. So egocentrism has similarities with narcissism. However, we may say that narcissism is like egocentrism and more. Okay, because narcissism involves manipulation and such like that. Egocentrism is just selfishness and self-centeredness. So yes, this is one reason um, people becomes greedy. Me, always thinking of ourselves only. Okay. And the third one is death. Okay. So the anxiety of knowing that we will die lures us to clutch at anything we think will bring us security, right? These are things like material possessions, knowledge, or status. Okay. So imagine if we won't have to die. Do you think we will still feel the need to rush and acquire things such as possessions, knowledge, or status? Probably not, right? Because we have time. Okay, so we'd probably just sit around and, not rush on things. But since there is that, but since we will die and we don't know when, and we don't, and it can happen at any moment, thus we acquire these things, many things, in haste and in exaggeration. And what does this say about us? We are all aware that we will die, whether we actively think about it or not, or whether we intentionally ponder on it regularly, right? We know that that is a certain future. So if this is the case, then we can also say that we are all tainted with greed because of our knowledge of that. However, I would like to note here that saving for a rainy day, like having an emergency fund, healthcare, or a backup resource, is not greed. Okay, life is unpredictable and challenging, so having a safety net is being responsible and not being greedy at all. Okay, so do you have anything else to add here? Or do you have any questions? Actually, this is it's only three things I came up with what makes people greedy or what causes greed. So do you have anything else to add or do you have questions? Okay, okay, Kevin says the exposure to available resources, example, too much food on the fridge or opportunities to get more like the farmer was offered. Yes, that's true. So yeah, let's add that add it to that. That's a mental. Let's add a mental note of that. Number four, the exposure to available resources. Thank you so much, Kevin. And especially now, right? It's so easy to acquire stuff. Like we could just have it delivered to our houses, food, material things, no, Shopee, Lazada, Food Panda, Grab. No, that's just in our fingertips, within our fingertips. So yes, so the opportunity or the resource is there, readily available. Okay, thank you, Kevs. Yeah, that's a nice catch. Thank you for adding that. Anyone else would like to add something, or anyone else who has a question? Okay, so Gerard says social media plays a large factor in causing greed as it can make you feel as if you're falling behind and you have, yes, true, right? So the existence of social media, um, what's that? We feel like we have to keep up with our friends. So when we see that they post something like this and we kind of feel jealous, so we want to keep up with that or surpass that, right? Even surpass that. Yes, that is true. So all these things available to us now, which is not available what 20 years ago, 30 years ago. So yes, actually this has added to our greed. And that's and the consumption alone that we have been doing for the past several years clearly says that yeah, we have a consumption problem. Thus we probably have a greed issue. Kevin says some people say social media fuels our burning desires. Oh, ain't that true, right? I agree 100% with that. It does, right? So, um, uh, the influx of information, of readily available information to us, it's nice, but it also has a downside. And yes, if it fuels our knowledge, but it also fuels our desires. Thank you so much, guys, for your inputs. Really great inputs, guys. Thank you very much. So yeah, we could add it here. Um, New technology, right? The influx of new technologies such as online shopping and delivery and social media. That adds to our greed and our insecurities too, probably. Okay, thanks. And anyone else? Do you have anything else? Okay, if none, okay, three, two, one. Okay. But if you just want to type something, just type it there and then we'll read it later. Okay. So, what are examples of greed? So, these are just one moment. There. Just concrete examples of greed, right? Overeating at buffets. Oh, right. So, um, sometimes when we are in at buffets, we eat more than we can handle because we want to maximize our money's worth, right? Sayang naman, di ba? So yeah, we eat as much as we can. We overstuff ourselves. So yes, I'm guilty of this because I would like to maximize my money's worth, right? Or sulitin natin, ganyan. And another thing, okay. Gluttons. Okay, so gluten is a person who eats too much regularly. It is excessive, and sometimes they are the ones who will eat all the food without thinking that others may have not eaten yet, right? They will like take two pieces at a time without thinking that other people are there who will still eat, right? That's an example of greed. And then another one is exploiting nature. So, exploiting natural resources without thinking about the future or what it can bring to the future generation, right? There's an old Indian adage that um, we're just borrowing the nature from our children, something like that. I forgot the exact one, but but if you know, guys, please type it. But yes, so and it's evident right now that we have been exploiting nature for our convenience, right? So because We experience that through climate change and through the to the we experience more disastrous um, natural disasters. Okay, so we've been doing that. And cheating on limited government benefits. I think you've heard this, like signing up for limited number of government benefits when you don't even qualify or your qualification already expired. Concrete example of this is the four Ps. It's really for the for the poor, really poor, but in the news you will find that there are people whose um, 4Ps already expired because their children are no longer covered but they still receive, or people who's better off in life but they still receive that, are doing better in life but who still receive the 4Ps. So yeah, this is greed too. Okay, these are examples of greed. And these are just four examples I came up with. We are probably guilty of one or two from these examples, right? And now I have a question for you guys, for everyone, okay? What things do you collect? May I ask? Do you collect things? I used to collect books a lot, and cassette tapes when I was younger, but no longer, I don't do that anymore. How about you guys? Do you collect anything or something? Like, do you collect, I don't know, coins? Oh, books. Yeah, books. It's what else? What else do you collect? Real coins, like old coins, like antique coins, like that. I have an uncle who collects coins too, and he has a book that. Okay, that's nice. Yeah. How about the others? You don't collect stuff? Okay, that is okay. Well, that's great if you don't collect stuff, I guess. But some stuff are worth collecting. Yeah, I still have my books, and it's really hard to let go. Really, I I really should, just sell them because ebooks are readily available right now. But it's different, the feel of books when you hold them. Yeah, and coins. I think this is a good collection because you can sell this for higher price later, right? I think so. So, yeah. So, the reason I ask this is sometimes we collect too much of everything and we don't even need them really in our possession right now, like all at once. But, we like having stuff. And I do understand that some things we collect are sort of investment items too, right? Something that we can sell later if ever we fall into dire straits, right? But there are items that loses value the moment you buy them, like diamond engagement rings and cell phones. But still, one can argue that you can sell those even if it's for a cheaper price. However, after this talk, it's your chance to look and analyze if you're getting a bit greedy or crazy with your collection. I would do probably think about it. So, and do other aspects of your life suffer just so you can feed this need to collect, right? Or this to collect this stuff. Okay. So, okay, we have 5 minutes and well, oh yeah, that's enough time. So I would like to ask you guys, what is the opposite of greed? Anyone? What do you think is the opposite of greed? Okay. Humility. Mm, could be, yeah. What else? Anyone else? What is the opposite of greed? If greed is acquiring so much, what is the opposite? Sense of contentment. Yeah, could be too. When you have a sense of contentment, you won't feel the need to be greedy or to acquire a lot of stuff. And if you're humble enough, you won't need to feed. Yes, Ria, generosity. That is correct. Yeah, that's it. But everybody else's answer is great too. And it's connected to our generosity. Wait. Okay. So, um, so if generosity is the opposite of greed. So how do we curb our greediness? Okay, here are some ways, and it starts with generosity. It starts with being generous. The more we become generous, the less greedy we will be in time, right? And of course, this is a list I came up with, but you can add more. I'm pretty sure there are more. You can add more later. Second is gratitude. Okay. Gratitude will be the foundation of your generosity. So if you develop an attitude or a gratitude attitude, whatever you call it, then it will develop or will be the basis for your generosity. And then the third one is compassion. So seek compassion for those who have lesser than you do. It can help you become less greedy, and you could be more giving to other people. Okay, and the fourth one is impermanence. Nothing in this world is permanent. So you can afford to be greedy right now because of the status you have, but that status is impermanent. It won't stay forever. Later you might end up having nothing in your name because of the greediness you do right now. Okay, so always remember that nothing is permanent. Okay, you will be um you might be doing good now, doing better financially, but later on, that could all be taken away. Okay. And of course, debt. You cannot bring the material things you have acquired throughout your life when you die. Of course, if you have a family or loved ones to, you know, to leave them with, well, that's all in good, right? To secure their future when you're gone. But yeah, all the other excesses, you cannot bring that anyway. Okay. So there must be a lot more ways to help us curb our greed, but you just add it yourself later because we only have 2 minutes left. So do you have any questions, by the way, or anything would like to say before we end tonight's lecture? Uh, okay, yes. Kevin just posted our Facebook group. Please join us. Our schedule is always there, the schedule of our talks. Oh, okay, and yes, that one too. Sorry, because I don't know what.
Sorry
Yes.
for the image. Yeah,
It's
so tomorrow at the same time, I'll be hosting a lecture. It's about the importance of women in society. It's also about Buddhism.
okay, that's great, Kevs. Yeah, we look forward to your talk too. So please check that out. Kevin will be giving a talk. So we have less than 1 minute. So if I would like to end tonight's session with this quote. Greed is a bottomless pit which exhausts the person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction. So, yes, that's it for tonight, guys. And yeah, I only have less than 30 seconds. So, that's it. We are glad you joined us and we wish to see you in our future talks. Good night. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thank
Kevin.
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. See you.
Thank
Good night.